What's up, everyone? This is LeetCode 739, daily temperatures. So we're given an array of temperatures representing daily temperatures. We have to return an array answer such that answer I is the number of days you have to wait after the ith date to get a warmer temperature. I assume you can kind of tell what's going on with this problem just by looking at the example, but I guess we'll just run through it, right? Basically, we're given these temperatures, and we basically have to, the output has to be of the same length. And really, the output is just how many days does it take for a temperature that's greater than the current one to show up, right? So at the 73, it only takes 1 day because a day later we have a 74. So this is 1, right? 74, 1 day because we have a 75, right? When we're at the 75, it takes 1, 2, 3, 4 days for a temperature greater than 75 to show up. So we put a 4 here. Now, when we have cases like this where there is no temperature in the future that is greater than the current one, we just have a 0, right? That's kind of how we handle those edge cases. And the way we're going to handle this programmatically, particularly these edge cases, is we're going to create an output array of the same length as the input, and we're just going to set everything in the output array to 0. And then that way we only have to handle the days where we have something in the future that is greater than the current temperature. We'll just overwrite those values. And then the other ones, we can't find anything greater, any temperature in the future that's greater, but we don't have to do anything because we initialize the array to 0, like everything in the array to 0, right? So that's how we're going to handle the edge case. Okay, so I'm going to show you how we're going to do this. And we're going to use a stack, right? That's kind of the way we're going to approach this. And so the gist of this problem is we're going to do a check. Okay, we're going to iterate through this input in a for loop, and we're going to do a check. Okay, so we're going to start at the 73. We're going to do a check. We're going to first check, is there something in the stack? No, there's not. So again, we don't really have to do anything. So we're just going to take this index here, which is 0, and we're going to put it into the stack. Okay, with the temperature would be 73. Okay, and this inputting into the stack part, that'll happen at every step, right? Because it won't be in a while loop, which is kind of, the while loop is how we're going to basically handle stuff in the stack. But outside of the while loop, after we're done, we're going to basically put the index in the stack. So every one of these will go in the stack, okay? It'll make more sense when you see the code, but I'm just kind of trying to explain stuff. Okay, so boom, we handled that. Let's move on. Okay, this 74. So we're going to do a check. Is there something in the stack? Okay, there is. Okay, now we can check a second condition, which is this temperature greater than whatever is at the top of the stack, the temperature of that, right? So we're basically going to take this index and call the input array and pass it this index. And we're going to get the 73. We're going to check, is the 74 greater than 73? Yes, it is, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to, at the index of whatever's in the stack, so at index 0, we're going to do the index of the current variable we're on, or the current index that we're on minus this index. And we're going to do the index of this minus the index of whatever's in the stack, right? So 1 minus 0, right? That would give us 1. And at the index of this, we're going to put this value. Okay, so at index 0, we're going to put this value. So at index 0, we're going to put a 1. Okay, because what we're doing when we do this minus this is we're really building the window, right? What is the distance between these two? AKA, what is the distance between the value of the temperature that is greater than our start point, right? So when we do this minus this, we're basically just getting how many days passed, right? And again, 1 day passed, right? So that's why we're putting a 1 at the 0th index, okay? Boom. Okay, so here we have a 1. I'm going to cross this out, and we're done with this. So we're going to put this, but remember, everything goes in the stack. So the 74 will actually go in here, but again, we're storing the index, not the actual temperature. Okay, so we're going to go with 75. I'll try and move a little bit quicker because I don't want to make this video too long. So at 75, right, when we're here, we're going to do, is there something in the stack? Yes. Is 75 greater than 74? Yes. So we're going to, at this index, index 1, we're going to do the index of this minus the index of this. So it'd be 0, 1, 2 minus 1, which would give us 1. So at index 1, we're going to put a 1, which makes sense, right? Because 74 to 75, only 1 day passed until we found a temperature that is greater. So we can delete this, and we're going to have 75. 75 again is at index 2. Okay, we're going to move to 71. Is there something in the stack? Yes. But is this temperature greater than whatever this is? No, 71 is not greater than 75. So we can just put 71 in here, put a 3 in here, and we'll just move on. Is 69 greater than whatever's in here? No, right? Even though there is something in the stack, this is not greater than this. So we're just going to put this in the stack, and we're going to move on, okay? Okay, 72. Is 72 greater than 79? Yes, right? So, there's something in the stack, right? That's true. And this is greater than, this 72 is greater than the 69, right? That is also true. So, we're basically going to do the current, so this 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is 5, okay? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is the index 5, okay? So, at index 4, right, we're going to do 5 minus 4, right? So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So here we're going to do 5 minus 4, which just give us 1. Boom, right? Which makes sense because 69 to 72, only 1 day passed, right? So at this index, there should be a 1, okay? But again, there's still stuff in the stack, so we're not actually going to move forward. We're just going to remove this, right? And we're going to compare 72 again. Is 72 greater than 71? Yes. So we're going to do 5 at index 3, 0, 1, 2, 3. At this index, we're going to do 5 minus 3, right? Which should give us 2, right? And that should be correct, right? Because at this index, the 71, 2 days passed before we have a temperature that's greater than 71. So yeah, we're handling that properly. Then we can move on, delete this. Okay. Let's do this check, right? And the reason we do this check, I know it's like longer now, these checks, it's because we're in a while loop in the code, right? You'll actually see that when we actually write the code, and it'll make a lot more sense. But I'm just kind of explaining this first, like visually what we're doing. Okay. So is this 72 greater than the 75? No, it is not. 72 is not greater than 75. So we're just gonna boop, cross this out, add this to the array, which would be index 5, and then move on to the 76. Okay, 76. Is 76 greater than 72? Yes. This is index 6. So at index 5, we're going to do 6 minus 5, which is 1. So cross this out, put a 1 here. And that makes sense, right? Because only 1 day passed from 72 to 76. It only took 1 day for us to get a temperature that's greater than where we started, right? Okay. So we handled that, right? Before we move on, let's keep checking the stack against where we're currently at. Is this 76 greater than 75? Yes. Okay. So at index 2, 0, 1, 2, at here, we're going to do 6 minus 2, which should give us 4. So it took 4 days. So when we're 0, 1, 2, it took us 4 days to get a temperature greater than 75, right? So, right, 1, 2, 3, 4, which makes sense. We're building out the array properly, right? So we can remove this. We're going to add the 76. We're not actually adding the 76, but the index, which would be index 6, right? And then we move on to the 73. And of course, when we're at the 73, it's not greater than 76. So we just have to move on. 73. But unfortunately, we basically run out of things because we traverse the entire array. So we exit the for loop, and even though we have stuff in the stack, we can't actually do anything. But again, since our array was initialized to 0, these have the proper values, and right, we get 1142, 1142, right, 1100, 1100. So that's kind of how we're doing our problem, okay? Visually and conceptually. So now I'm going to go to the code, and it'll make a lot more sense. The code's really not complicated whatsoever. It's just a very simple for loop with a while loop, and yeah, I mean, this problem is not too difficult. You'll make sense of it. Okay, so first of all, let's build a stack. I'm just going to call it my stack. You can call it whatever you want, right? We're going to create an answer array. And remember, the answer array has to be initialized all to 0, and it has to be the same length as the input, right? Right, and then down here we'll return answer. Then this is where the bulk of the work happens, right? So we're just going to traverse the input array using a for loop. So we're going to say for I in range, length, temperatures, right? And remember, we had a check. What were those checks? Is there something in the stack? And is the current index that if something is in the stack, we also need to check, is the current index that we're on, is that temperature greater than whatever's at the top of the stack, that temperature? So we're going to do, is that greater than temperatures, my stack, get whatever's at the top of the stack, okay? And so if there's something in the stack, the current index we're on is greater than whatever's at the top of the stack, then that's the case where we're going to pop the index. I'm going to do my stack.pop, right? And remember, at this index that we just popped, right? The index in the stack that we just popped, at that index, we're going to do the current index we're on minus the index we popped, and that should give us how many days passed, right? And then remember, after we're done, regardless of anything else, we're going to pop, or it's not pop, sorry, we're going to append that current index that we're currently on to the stack before we move on, because we need to handle how many days pass for that particular day as well, or index. Okay, and then yeah, that should be it. I guess, like I said, this problem, maybe conceptually it's a little hard to wrap your head around at first, but the solution isn't too hard. Okay, boom, and we're done. So yeah, yeah, problem isn't too hard, I don't think. But I hope this helped, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out, everyone.